Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa, and we are so excited that you're here. Today, we will be joined by none other than the Xaden and Violet from Graphic Audiobook, and we're very excited. We have our interview coming up with them here shortly, but really quickly, I just wanted to thank everyone who is here, who's listening. If you don't already follow us on social media, we are at L.A.M E Book Club Pod, so go ahead and subscribe on YouTube, follow us in all the things. And if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that would mean the world to us. We also have a website, lamebookclubpod.com. We have merch there. We're coming out with some new stickers here pretty soon. It's going to be a Jeff's Kiss and a tin hat sticker, plus our logo, and we have totes. So stay tuned for those new stickers and feel free to check out the existing merch that we have. And we also have a Patreon. So if you don't already, or if you're not already a part of our Patreon, please go ahead and join. We'd love to hang out there. We do bonus episodes, additional episodes. We have a Discord. We have a lot of fun. We even do some live events. So definitely check that out. And before we get into this, just a quick spoiler warning, we will be talking about all three books. So if you have not read the entirety of the Empyrean series, definitely come back and check this out afterwards. But without further ado, say hello to Khaya and Gabriel.
Okay, so today we are talking with none other than the Violet Sorengale and Xaden Ryerson, aka Khaya Fraites and Gabriel Michael, the voices of those characters for the graphic audio's adaptation of the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarrow. So hi guys, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Of course. Yes. So your narrations have brought these characters to life for so many of us, audiobook listeners / readers. I like to say audiobook readers, personally. So first and foremost, yeah, thank you. But we would love to pick your brain. So do you guys want to tell us how you got into voice acting and narrating?
I got into voice acting during the pandemic. I went to school for theater and I graduated in 2019. I'm originally from Virginia, so right after graduation, pretty much I moved to New York in January of 2020, and I was like, I'm going to do theater and I'm going to do film, and then COVID happened and everything shut down, and I was just trying to figure out how I could still keep acting from home, and so I had done a couple of fiction podcast things, but I was interested in voice acting, but I didn't know a ton about it. My dad shipped me a microphone from Virginia because New York was completely shut down. So he's like, I'm going to Best Buy right now.
So sweet.
Yeah. And and then I just started submitting projects from home. And then I've been voice acting for 5 years, but I've been narrating for about 2 years.
Very cool.
I love that. That's so neat.
Thanks.
And Gabriel, what about you?
I also went to school for theater. I graduated in 2016, and I moved from Savannah, Georgia to New York City, and I started right before the pandemic hit, and probably December, July. Me and Khaya actually unofficially met each other on one of my very first voiceover auditions. We had a callback. We had a callback in person for a company that wanted to bring on audiobook narrators on salary, and that's usually not how you kind of brought into that industry. Yeah. And we both were there at the live callback. It was 6 guys and 6 girls. I got that job, and then I started narrating, and I kind of got into the other aspects of voice acting, like commercials, animation, and video games recently. So I've been doing that part probably as long as Kaya's been narrating. So we kind of met each other and went different paths. Yeah. Khaya, actually, fun fact, Khaya is the reason I have my agent.
No way.
I love that.
I don't know about the reason.
Yes.
I love the reason.
Oh,
I love how much crossover there was before this. You guys had unofficially met, agents were shared, then now you got to work together on this project.
Yeah.
That's so cool. All right, well, we have a couple silly questions because it wouldn't be the L.A.M.E podcast if we didn't just do something like this. So, do you guys ever forget how to do a voice that you've done before? And if so, how do you find it again?
Oh yeah, for sure. The best thing though about if you're doing a series or something, the producers or the directors usually will send you a voice reference of what you did so you can go back and listen to it.
Yeah,
which is really nice. But sometimes I forget mid-book, and I'm like, I know this character had one line in chapter 3, but I'm on chapter 46 at this point, and I really don't know.
Have the producers ever had to stop you and been like, that's not the voice? And you're like, no, it's
I'm
surely
pretty sure
it is.
that's happened to me before, yeah.
When I was with that narration company that I started with, my narrating partner at the time, we worked in the same studio in the same booth in real time. Okay. So she would be on one side of the booth and I'd be on the other side of the booth, and she was incredible at keeping voices straight. I was not. And it was book 2, chapter 1 of a series, and halfway through it, she's just like, Gabriel, that's not the voice. I was no. I kept getting. He started young. He started right here, and then as it went on, he was like lower and lower and lower, and then it's like, and you don't realize, and then you listen back, and you're like, wow, I've learned to, if you make a choice, make a clear, obvious choice, because the worst is I would do this thing where I would pick a voice for my main character that was just like slightly skewed away from my normal voice, but in a weird place to where it was hard to. Yeah. It was hard to mimic. Just go with your natural voice, so you don't have to like think about it too hard.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, this is my own personal question from deep within the archives, because every single time I listen to an audiobook, I think about this and then I just move on with my life. I never Google it. So I'm so glad you guys are here, because I just need to know straight from the source. You know, when a book says like, how could you have done this? He says angrily. Do you have to read the page or sentence like ahead of time to know that the sentence is read angrily, or do you just kind of feel it, and if it like coincides with the emotion, then all good, but if not, we're just moving on?
I would say it's a combination, but I would say it's more so the latter. You kind of just feel it. Like you do develop this sixth sense as like a narrator to where you just understand the intonation. And once you narrate, eventually sometimes you can just, it's like weird. You can subconsciously see literally what's on the page 3 lines down.
Wow. Okay.
And in just the tiniest of breaths you take, or like a half second or a second of your natural pause, your brain will can scan ahead really quickly. And it's if you focus on it too much, you're definitely not there yet. That's not a skill you've developed yet. But over time, you'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true too. I think that like I can scan ahead now too, at least a few lines. I do try to read everything that I record beforehand, but of course you don't remember every single little dialogue tag.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So sometimes I think like reading it beforehand, at least like you remember the tone of the scene that you're reading. So even if you don't remember every exact word, like I know where this is going, and so I know it's going to build. And so I think that helps too. But yeah, I definitely think that I'm like reading faster than I'm talking.
Yeah.
I'm so glad, Khaya, that you brought up that you read before, or at least you try to read the book beforehand, because when Ellie and I were talking about what questions we were going to ask when I had saw that this was one of her questions, in my mind, I was like, well, I know the answer, because I'm like, they have to know, like, obviously. But then initially when you were kind of like, well, it's kind of like both, but mostly the latter, I was like, wait, I have a new question. Do you guys even get the book beforehand, or is this all just like in the moment? Because I was going to be incredibly impressed. But I was like, there's no way you don't get to read the book first.
We do get to read the books beforehand. But sometimes if it's like, with the graphic audios, those come out later than like the published book. So we're reading it as soon as everyone else is reading it. Yeah.
But like audiobooks it's different from other forms of VA, but with like animation and video games, oftentimes you are laying what's making it to the cutting floor,
right?
Is something that you just saw that day. So sometimes it could be a AAA video game with an incredible performance behind it, and that actor may have gotten the script a day ahead, or if the NDAs were so tight, they didn't see that script until the day there. So when they say this industry is competitive, on that front at least, it's because you have to be ready to lay down a final product right at the door.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten like video game scripts an hour before, and I'm like, all right, I guess I know what I'm reading on the train on my way there.
No, I need 5 business days to practice. Really, no, I could not. I'd stutter.
Here's the thing. If I don't, I mean, I'm not even attempting to get into this industry. I know my limits. And that's not self-deprecating. It's what is it? Self-awareness. That's what that is. But if I don't have prep time to know, like, it's even like this podcast, like if I don't have a little bit of time to know the general idea of what we're going to talk about, there is no telling what is going to come out of my mouth. There already is no telling what is going to come out of my mouth, but with zero preparation, yeah, right.
No, yeah, I get it. I like to prepare as much as possible, but sometimes, like, I've like shown up to an audition and they're like, you can do, or I've shown up to like a gig and they're like, you can do this accent, right? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Oh, the panic.
Yeah, that can only imagine. Oh my goodness. I have okay, we have some main questions now that we want to ask you. So specifically regarding the Empyrean series now. What was the most epic moment for you while you were voicing these characters? If you could think of like one specific moment.
Yeah, like was there a scene that stood out that you were like, I am Xaden or I am Violet? Like this is so insane.
Yeah.
I think it's part 2. Graphic audio's part 2 of the first book. When Xaden is kind of grieving over Liam's death, and Khaya has lovely narration at that point. I mean, it's an incredible part in the audio, but they're just like, Scott, our director, he just asked me to let out a primal scream of rage, and I feel like it came from the depths of my soul. And I'm not always a one-take person on those really big, loud, kind of emotional moments, but that was one that was just like, there was a solid 5 seconds of silence afterwards, and Scott was like, that's all we need, you know?
Amazing.
And,
that's gotta be a good
and
feeling.
So good.
it was, and hearing it in the mix, it made me emotional. I felt like that's when Xaden's a character who is so macho and sexy and strong, and that was one where he was just so hurt. And I was like, okay, I feel like I have that element now. I'll never forget that level of kind of pain he felt, and then bringing it into the rest of the performances.
Wow. Cool.
My goodness. I'm sorry. I am geeking out so hard right now. Like the series has been my life for so long. And so this is so fun to talk about for me. Khaya, I will let you go. I just had to say that.
Thank you.
I guess I would say most recently in part 2 of Onyx Storm. Or no, it's at the end of part 1. When they get to the Isle Kingdoms and Holden has just kind of
The baskets.
messed everything up.
Oh yes,
And
the dinner.
then the dinner, and Xaden kind of loses it because he's in protective mode, and then she has to just like take over immediately, and she's just
yes.
I think she's like really finding her power there, and just like not even like her physical power, but just like she's finding like her own confidence and being like, okay, I have to take care of this right now because there is no other option.
Yeah.
The one who's supposed to be the literal king gets his assistant killed and beheaded, which is crazy. I just love that whole scene because I feel like she's honestly channeling some of Xaden in that moment where she's just like really taken over, and there's almost just a hint, I'll just say a little bit of cockiness.
Absolutely.
Love that. I know that scene well because I was I was like texting Melissa like, I cannot believe that Rebecca wrote this into the book. This is so insane. Like this is just took such a left turn. I loved it.
And the chocolate cake scene. That was fun. That was good.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say that dinner scene. Nothing that happened was on my bingo card for happening in this book. Like not even a little bit. There wasn't like, I wonder if at one point someone's gonna die and be served on a platter. Like there was not even a little bit. Was I thinking this might happen?
Like, this is not Game of Thrones.
I know.
Right.
And I know this happens right before, but I just said it, so I need to say it again. The baskets. The basket of that Halden had to fly in. Oh, that was one of the highlights of the entire book.
Yes.
One of the highlights.
So good.
It's just so funny. It is so funny. Rebecca's a genius.
I love it. So taking a total opposite side to this, were there any scenes that you were nervous that you wouldn't be able to do the scenes justice?
Yeah. My chair, my woman.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my house. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just so much anticipation behind it. I think I
Absolutely.
heard. I
Yeah.
also just unintentionally, against my will, probably heard like 30 different dudes attempt it and do it on TikTok.
Wait, now I need to ask, were you ever watching these reels and you're like, chumps? Or were you like, oh, that's actually really good, and then like trying to mimic it?
It would always be a dude who was super handsome, like really handsome. So I'd be like, damn, like I hope this is not what they're expecting. Yeah, I mean you know that my Xaden competitive side comes in. It's just like, no, mine will be the one that lives immortally in that audio.
Yeah.
No, it's my chair, my house, my woman.
You know, so like all the lines that are like those buttons that are like so famous from the series,
Yeah.
Scott our director always has an opinion about them, right? He always has, you know, there's what we do, but sometimes, you know, there's a take B that he kind of is like, would you try it this way?
Yeah.
So even if I was nervous, you know, we have a director who's just like, okay, I know how I kind of want this line to go, give it a try. And so he kind of helped
Yeah.
sail us through it.
It's so funny that you say
So good.
you saw like 30 guys try and do it and that they were all handsome, because I don't know what side of the internet I'm on, but if I've ever seen anyone try
Melissa,
and be Xaden. No, I'm
nice.
not. I'm not calling out names. I'm not going to say handles or anything, but if I've ever seen anyone try to be a Xaden or like a Reese or something, it is one of the most cringy things I've ever seen. So
I think for me, I think maybe one of the more challenging ones from this one was like in Darna.
Oh my
when
gosh.
she leaves. Just because like I feel like I wanted it to, like, obviously she's like grieving like the loss of it, but it's like a different kind of thing. Like it's like almost like a numbness because it's different from her mom and it's different from Liam, you know? So I kind of was just like, I don't know, worried about balancing that, but I mean, I guess we'll see what people think.
Yeah.
But I think it felt good recording, and yeah, I'm excited for people to hear it.
Cool.
it's got to be interesting to try and like channel that emotion too, because it's not
Yeah.
anything that we can relate to. Like, unfortunately, we don't have dragons. We don't lose bonds. And so, I mean, you could like you can try and relate it to like losing someone or an animal or something, but it's just like you can even tell the way that it's written. It's just very different than any like human emotion. So I can only imagine how hard that would try and be then to relay that in your voice and like as you're
like grief
being
is
Violet.
like physical
Yeah.
pain, like
Right.
That's crazy. All right, next question. Are you guys, before I ask this, are you guys close to Rebecca, or have you met her at all throughout this process?
I've never met her. I would love to meet her. We've had a couple of interactions on Instagram and she's been so sweet, but I would love to meet her. I would
bet.
die.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Kai. I have not met her, but I would absolutely love to. She's at USC, I believe, right now. So she's like just like 20 minutes up the road from me.
Oh, we have
Just
seen
show up.
the rumors that what is his name? The actor that everyone thinks is going to be either Bodhi or Xaden. What's his name, Melissa? Help me out.
Oh,
Josh
James
something.
Houghton? Oh, Josh Houghton.
Yeah, they're both in LA at the same time, so everybody is like, "What's going on? Why is this happening?"
Okay.
I don't think he's at USC though, is my guess. I don't know. Just something. Just gonna spitball here. Okay, well, so at least knowing enough about Rebecca, and I mean, you probably feel like you know her to some degree with how intimately you guys became with these characters. Are there any fan theories that you have heard that you're inclined to believe about future books?
Kai is the queen of this. She's got the best theories.
Oh, excellent. Please do take. We like to put our tin hats on every episode when we're talking about it. So
I did listen to your last episode, and I like the theory about her hair being silver. I feel like that sounds real at the end of the book.
I mean,
But
the
also-
cover, I feel like, of this book even like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
starting to be silver.
Yeah. If they got married in Dune's temple and she like finished her dedication, then yeah, I think she could definitely have silver hair. I think that would be interesting. The other thing that I was like thinking of is the whole thing about the brother and how he like can't kill him and how he's supposed to be dead. I don't know if this is like a theory, but just I thought that maybe it was Taryn's previous writer and he's not dead, he's just Venin. And maybe that's why he can't kill him, because if he does, then it could like kill Taryn or kill Violet.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I will die on the hill that Naolin is Venin. I truly have been thinking that since Iron Flame.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he is, yeah.
But
like I think he turned to save to save
Brennan. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that is to me, like at this point, with how much I believe it, it's as if she's already written it. Like, I would be flabbergasted to find out that isn't true or like lore at this point.
Yeah. Oh, but also one more thing. I don't know if this is really a theory or if this is like, maybe it's fact, I don't know. But like, I noticed when I was rereading it the last time that when Violet goes to Tyrandor, like when they all like go to Tyrandor for their postage, and she stays in his room, she says that the dagger with the emeralds is on the nightstand. And she notices then that one of the emeralds is missing. So I'm thinking that I guess Xaden like planned to propose this whole time and like planned like that he basically planned his exit like halfway through this book.
I'm curious if it was almost like you said, like he's been planning it, whether it was gonna happen the way it happened or if he was just gonna be really sweet about it. And then in the moment he realized that this is what I need to do. But I agree, because I mean, I think when she said like notice the sapphire or whatever, the emerald was gone.
Emerald, yeah.
I was like,
but also the conversation right after that, Brennan comes to her door and is like, he told me, he came to me, but I can't mend him. So at that point he like knows that there's no fixing it. So I feel like from then he like knew, and he was like, all right, well, this is what I got to do.
You're so right. I take back everything I just said.
Gabriel, as our Xaden, what is the answer?
Yeah. Xaden, tell us, what were you thinking?
I can't give away any of my secrets.
That's right.
I'll allow it.
Okay, this leads me to two questions. One is more like voice acting technical, and one is more book Empyrean series related. So I'll start with that one. When you were reading, were you ever like, that's an Easter egg, but I have to keep reading, I can't like just blurt it out and talk about it? And then were you like, I immediately need to tell somebody about this? Or do you just read to kind of like read the story, like you're just passenger princess or prince?
Like the first time we read it, or like when we're actually recording?
Yeah, like when you're recording, or I guess either one. Were you ever like, there's an Easter egg, I have to get to the bottom of it? No, more when you're recording. Were you like, I found an Easter egg, I have to get to the bottom of it, but I have to do my job first, so I can't freak out yet?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, even with the like dagger thing, I like thought about that. And then like at the end of my session, like with our director, I was like, so he was definitely going to propose, right? And then Scott's just like, man.
Yeah. I feel like whenever me and Khaya are in session together with our director, whenever we come across any Easter egg, we'll finish the scene, but then immediately we just like stop everything and we start talking. And the best is when because like, Scott is always on board to like get to the bottom of the mystery, and he has his own theories. It's just really cool when you have three cooks in the kitchen who are really ready to work, but also ready to be like, what are we thinking here?
Yeah. Like, be a fan about it, but also like work. That's so fun. How does one get that job? I'm asking for a friend.
Yes. Which job?
Narrating specifically. Like, I know you guys said you went into theater but like, how did you specifically get here?
For me, it was the end of 2020. So we were still knee deep in the pandemic. And I had stepped away from that full-time salaried narration job. I kind of wanted to try my luck at other publishers. And there was a website, I think it was like top 17 or 19 audio book companies like in North America. And graphic audio was on there, and I was able to track down their email, and I liked it. It said that their work was the person I spoke to, like, it says that the work was close to video games in terms of just the way the workflow worked.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought that was really great. I love narrating, but it's hard to sometimes focus on the dialogue when, at least in my narration journey in the beginning, it was hard for me to make my dialogue really sing because it took everything within me just to do the narration. So I was like, I want to get my feet wet just focusing on dialogue, because that's what you do primarily when you freelance for graphic audio. You have to eventually kind of work towards narration. But traditionally, if you have a space that you can carve out, I would say 3.5 by 3.5 feet with, like, a good 7 to 10 foot ceiling, you can get with people who can really help you build a space on a really affordable budget. And once you have the space, from there, it's about creating samples, samples that you speak to you. Get coaching. I always recommend getting coaching, but not everyone can afford coaching. Not everyone can afford to go pay someone for a demo. And at the end of the day, it's no one else telling that story but you if you want that job. So you got to go in there and get it done. Kaya's got some really good, like, do-it-yourself kind of stories.
Well, I was also
Yeah.
going to say, too, that, like, a lot of publishers have new narrator programs. Like, Macmillan and Penguin
Oh,
Random
cool.
House both have, like, an annual program that you can apply to and get, like,
Oh.
one-on-one training and mentorship.
That's really cool.
And
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
who's that again? Macmillan and Penguin.
Penguin Random House has one, and Macmillan also has one.
Wait,
but
why
then
am I
really
also, like,
inspired? Why am I thinking about this for real?
Do
I
it.
don't know.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
Yeah. But once you, like, take a couple of acting classes, make a demo, you can also just, like, submit to publisher's roster. Hachette Audio has a submission form. Penguin Random House has a casting website that's free to, like, make a profile on and submit to stuff.
Yeah.
And Graphic Audio also has a casting form you can submit to.
That's so cool. I never knew, like, how anyone would even start getting into that. That's so cool. I love that.
If you want to follow up, Ellie, later, or even you, Melissa, like, we can totally get you on board.
I love that.
I actually, no, we'll talk offline. Okay, that wasn't even my technical question. That just came out of the noggin. My technical question is, do you ever feel enormous, because obviously, like what you just said, there's so much work that goes in, even the space that you record in. And so it really is an art. Do you ever get, like, offended or just feel like the disrespect when someone's like, I listen at 3 times speed?
No, I think everyone processes, like, things differently. Sometimes I listen to books. I don't listen to 2 times speed. I could not focus on that, I think.
No.
But maybe 1.5, 1.25, I think, is a good spot for me.
Yeah.
I do have
Whatever
friends that are
works.
monsters enough to actually be like, 2.5 is for me. And I'm like, how do you even understand?
Yeah,
I
I
yeah.
can't do it.
I don't believe that they pick up anything, truly. I'm like, I could listen to it, but it would be like
Yeah.
someone yapping. Like,
That's
it's, I
just
would
to
not
hit
make
your Goodreads quota. I did it. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabriel, what about you? Do you feel like, how dare you?
I've produced audiobooks myself and done, like, the score of them, much like graphic audio does. And so I would hate if someone was listening to that work, like, at 2.5 speed.
Yeah.
But in general, like, listening to audiobooks is such a personal experience. Some people are going for the performance, but it's the story that's more important than anything. We focus on
Yeah.
the performance aspect and telling that story. But at the end of the day, it's meant to accompany the actual text. So if someone's like, hey, the way I get the story is just, like, getting the information out, I'm not gonna mess with that. I'm like, good for you. If someone's like, I'm about to come in and judge the performance, I'm like, listen at the proper speed.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though, Gabriel. Like, if it was a fully scored production, I think it'd be
Yeah.
a little weird to listen at 2 times speed with, like, the music in the background
music.
going
Yeah, it is.
Well, and also with some graphic audios I listen to, I guess depending on the setting that it's in, like, there'll be, like, cars honking or, like, background noise that if you're listening to it that fast, it's going to sound weird. Like, it's not going to sound like
Yeah.
what it's
Yeah.
supposed to sound like because it's not supposed to be played that quickly. I also just want to make it clear, no judgment. I don't care if you listen. I don't believe you if you say you listen that fast, but that's okay. No judgment. Do whatever you want to do. But yeah, especially when it comes to graphic audios, there's just so much that goes into it that I kind of like what you said. Like, I just feel like it's going to be too distracting if it's too fast. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but all right, last question before we ask you guys to say some quotes, if you're okay with that.
Yeah. Surprise. I hope you're fine with that.
Okay. Have you ever read something in the books where you're like, why aren't more people talking about this?
Maybe people are talking about this or not, but like in Onyx Storm, the way like Garrick shows up, like he disappeared in the battle and then shows up during the whole Theophany encounter. I'm like, did you throw that tornado? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, you know what I mean? Garrick is a little weird for me. I need us to talk about him more. Like, everyone's like, Bodhi this, Bodhi that. I'm like, well, why is Garrick ready to check Xaden all the time? Like, we know we got to watch Xaden because of this, but sometimes I'm just like, are you a real bro? Or is something going on with you?
Gabriel with the suspicion.
Yes.
I like it.
I had to skip.
He is Xaden.
I had to skip to the end of the book because I really thought he was trying to make a move on Violet. It was driving me crazy in ways that like I've never been jealous. And I was like, anytime a guy would get, I didn't feel this way in book 1 or book 2, but anytime a guy would get close to Violet, like even Dane had to catch it. I was like, what are you doing here? So I skipped to the end because I couldn't take it.
Okay. New question. So how do you feel about your cousin Bodhi now? Do you feel, because I feel like it was very heavily implied that he wants Violet.
Okay, so see, I was Khaya, was I talking to you and I was like, I feel because there was a fan theory that they feel like in the next book, someone's gonna have to pose.
He's gonna have to like impersonate
Xaden, you know? And I was like, I said, if this is that's wild to me, but if that's the case, I need forced marriage. Like I need like forced political. I'm pretending to be Xaden. Like I need like with Bodhi. No one can compare to Xaden in my head, so I like it when these prospects show up. I say that as I panicked reading it.
There was that joke that Violet made that was like, maybe I fell for the wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, I'd be ashamed to kill my only blood relative or my only living relative.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't see it.
Okay, no, hear me out. So it was towards the end of the book, maybe even like the middle, when it kind of started. It was really subtle, and there was only like a handful of times when we picked up on it, but both Ellie and I thought that after reading it. And one of the, now of course I'm bringing it up, I'm blanking on like the exact quotes, but I think that Bodhi is the brother in question at the very end, because I think he turned at the end. The chapter from Imogen's POV, that scene where she's like, he's not even a part of it, and then randomly Imogen's like, oh, there's Bodhi throwing up or getting sick, like, but he was on the ground, feels like a really suspicious thing for her to add in. It almost feels like a very pointed thing for her to add, like the dagger, like how she looked over and saw that the gem was missing. Interesting. We're gonna move on. Like, and then Bodhi and his dragon aren't there at the end, and I think Bodhi he made like a couple comments to Violet even directly about like, well, you know, sometimes there's things you want that you just don't get, and then like he like lingers. I don't know. It's just, I'm like, man.
Wait,
Bodhi
I just thought
this is good. Yes.
I just thought of another thing from Iron Flame. There was that one scene where, like, you know, she's like, they fly off, they like switch off weekends to meet their dragons at his post, and they like put the packs on Tarn. And then there was like that one time that she like left in a hurry, and Bodhi gave her his flight jacket, and Xaden was like really jealous, and she's like, "Are you serious? It's your cousin." And he's like, "Take it off."
yes.
Yeah, and like that seems like a really sweet thing to do, and quite honestly, his character is sweet enough to do it. But if it does come out that like he's actually been interested in her,
and maybe that's why Xaden was so jealous, because he's like, I know my cousin.
And he knows his intentions.
If we had, oh my goodness, if we have like
hope
a Salvador Brothers situation, I can't take it. Like
Please.
I can't take it.
I can. I am so
I
Team
can too.
Damon. I can take it.
No. I don't want it. I don't want it. Unsubscribe.
I know.
You're a good loyal. You're a loyal girl, Khaya. You're a loyal one.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm like, I don't see it because Violet doesn't see it. So
Because
I'm like,
I don't want to see it. I love that. Oh my gosh.
I'm here for it though. That's like, this series doesn't even compare to, for me, for the Powerless series, but I enjoyed it because of the love triangle especially in book 1, like, and its brothers. That makes it even better. I'm here for it. Give me all the angst. Give me all of the just anxiousness of not knowing what's going to happen, except I feel like that's not going to happen here because obviously it's Violet and Xaden. Like, I don't care who shows up. Like, it's them. It's been very clear that nothing is changing on that front, but it's still fun to just add some elements of other people being interested in the mix.
Yeah, for sure.
Violet is just 10 toes down for her skinny jeans wearing man.
Oh my gosh.
the skinny jeans.
The skinny jeans. Yeah, there's
The eyeliner, the skinny jeans. It tracks.
Did you see
No.
The Sims floating around? Oh my goodness. It's like a compilation of scenes, but it's definitely the scene after she's spying on him in the first book when he's at the rebel kind of like get together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he comes up behind her. It's like it's a Sim situation. She doesn't look that like Violet looks pretty cool at hers. Like pretty, kind of true to it. I'm wearing skinny jeans. Xaden's wearing skinny jeans. He is so sassy. He's like really just like cutting up. He's like really telling her off. And it's just like, damn.
Love that.
They did him dirty.
Yeah, with the most intense hair flip ever.
Yeah.
Oh
at the
my
end, he
gosh.
did.
Wait, I have one more thing to add. This is just for our listeners specifically because I saw something online about exactly that scene where Violet was like hiding in the trees, and this was when like she was listening in on the Marked One's like secret meeting. It says in the book like she was in the shadows, but then it like notes that the shadows were darker than normal, almost like swirling around or something like that. And someone made a comment like, have we not noticed yet that those were Xaden's shadows? At that point, he was already protecting her. And I never went back to realize that.
Oh my goodness.
Well, when you say it like that, and after reading Onyx Storm,
Yeah.
it feels like a slap in the face that I
So the
didn't
whole time
notice.
she's like, he never saw me. He saw you. He was hiding
but
you.
also
Yeah.
he had the pact already with her mom
Right,
before
yeah.
that. So if
Exactly,
he noticed her,
yeah.
of course he would protect her because he's like, I'm protecting her and then I'm protecting all the marked
Them.
ones.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And he would have read her intentions to know that she's just curious. Like, she's not there
yeah,
spying.
yeah.
She's not gonna do anything with what she hears. She just wants to know what's going
She's
on.
like, I'm trying not to die.
Yeah. Oh man.
All
that's
right.
good.
Well, guys, because we're going to spring this on you and ask you to read us a couple famous quotes from both Violet and Xaden. Do you firstly have any quotes that you love more than the rest that you're like, I enjoyed saying this? I channeled this.
I enjoyed saying this.
Oh my gosh. There's so many.
Yeah.
I bet.
My-
I had a hard time just even coming up with a couple of my favorite quotes.
Gosh, I'm trying to think of in our last session because I feel like there were so many great one-liners back and forth. Oh, I do love the one. I think it's definitely in Iron Flame. The one about the first year is where most people lose their lives, I believe, and then the second year is where they lose their humanity.
Oh yeah.
What's the quote? The first year is where we.
Yeah, it's actually exactly that. You had it exactly right. The first year is when some of us lose our lives. The second year is when the rest of us lose our humanity.
Yeah,
That's
I
a good
thought
one.
that was
That's a good one. And of course, like the theme, a dragon without the rider is a tragedy.
Yes.
A rider
Yes.
without their dragon is dead.
DED did. Okay, and the moment that I have been waiting for, and I don't know if everyone else expected this or not. we would love if you guys would do a couple of our favorite quotes from the series.
Yeah.
Gabriel, we will start with none other than the Xaden Ryerson. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could do the quote where he talks about how there's nowhere in existence that she could go and he wouldn't find her, that would be beyond lovely.
I can't wait. Okay.
There's nowhere in existence you could go that I wouldn't find your violence.
It's the rasp. I love it.
I can't. I almost am like, but then say my name now. I'm like, everyone's
Legally changing my name to Violence.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, he was talking about me. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then can you also do the quote where he talks about how if she dies, he'll be right by her side when she meets Malik?
Yeah.
Yep.
My heart only beats as long as yours does. And when you die, I'll meet Malik at your side.
Swooning.
I feel like I've
reread.
been. No, this is the same feeling that I had when I was in middle school and I heard "Baby" by Justin Bieber for the first time, and that is a compliment of the highest degree.
That is a 10 out of 10 compliment.
Thank you.
All right, can you do the line where she talks about just like not running and there like lots that it seems impossible to overcome, but I will not die today is how it ends.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But I will not run. I wouldn't be standing here if I'd quit every time something seemed impossible to overcome. I will not die today.
I have chills.
Oh my
That
god.
sent me. Why did your
The
whole voice
switch.
shift? Yeah.
I love it.
Who's that? Someone else entered the chat.
That was Violet. That's who that was.
That was Violet.
That was
Oh my gosh.
crazy. You guys are
I-
so talented.
So
Never
so
mind.
talented.
I can't
She
do
just
this,
like
so never mind.
possesses me.
That is so cool.
I love it though too because I love audiobooks. I'm a big fan of listening to them, and I just feel like generally speaking, at least from what I'm listening to, there's more female narrators than male. At least again, the versions that I've listened to and or the books that I've listened to. But it's so crazy. So like that, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually like, I'm not in the podcast anymore. I'm listening to my book. Like that, the shift. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then can you do the quote where she talks about how she's the sky and the power of the storm?
Oh, that's a good one.
I am the sky and the power of every storm that has ever been.
So good.
I feel
Oh,
exactly
I'm
what
obsessed.
you said. Like you pop out of the podcast for a second. I'm like, oh, I'm listening to my audiobook, but I literally was like, my phone's going off.
Oh my gosh. This was oh my gosh. This was so much better than I could have ever possibly imagined. Thank you guys so much for being
Thank you.
This is like podcast Disneyland for me. This is so fun. It's so cool.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so just a couple quick questions to end it out. What is your dream role for voice acting, if you haven't already done it?
Ooh. I think I've said this before, but I am a big fan of the Legendborn Cycle series by Tracy Dion. They're so good. YA fantasy about the King Arthur mythology. And it's like magical realism set at UNC Chapel Hill.
So cool.
Yeah, it is fantastic. And the narrator who does the single narrator audiobook is also amazing, and I've listened to it like 100 times. Jonice Abbott Pratt is the narrator. She's fantastic. But if that ever got to be like a full cast production or something, I would die to play Bree in the series, or any character, honestly, because it's so fun.
Love that.
I've never even heard of that series, so add
It's
that
so
to my
good.
TBR.
It's the book that like got me back into reading as an adult. So if you love fantasy, and I mean it's YA, so like
In fact,
the character
I
is
do
like
love fantasy.
yeah, the character is like she's at UNC Chapel Hill in college, but she's like 16 because she got into like an early program. But it's so good. It's really fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that. And I actually I love to hear that that was the book series that got you back into reading as an adult, because I feel like more often than not, I hear that ACOTAR is that book for people, myself included. And so I love when I hear that it is a great series, but I like hearing other series, like, because then that makes me want to read it more too, because I know how I felt about ACOTAR, and if someone else felt like that about another book, then absolutely need to read it.
Yeah, it's so good.
If we're doing, I would love to get involved somehow with these retelling of like Shakespeare's adaptation of Shakespeare's works, full cast, Romeo and Juliet. So you wouldn't have to worry about copyrights necessarily, right? Because it's past about 100 years by now, and I would love to play Romeo, in any form. Romeo on stage, Broadway, film, TV, audio. I think that'd be really great. And I love Great Expectations, and they always get a Brit to read it, and I feel like I would give my best RP, and I would love to tell that story. After watching Yellow Jackets, I would love to do Lord of the Flies. It was the first play I ever saw at my high school, and it was incredible. My teacher, like my professor, he built a island onto this huge proscenium stage, and it was so good, and we gender bent so many roles. And now that I'm watching Yellow Jackets, I'm like, I would love to tell a creepy story of kids who get crash landed on an island. That'd be really good.
That's cool.
I think we had very different high school theater experiences, because while your school was doing that, we did Shrek the Musical. So
Morning person.
I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I actually, shameless plug, I was Fiona. But
Okay.
I'm a high school thespian, so
Same.
Yeah.
But I was surprised at how much I liked the play, because I never saw the Broadway version of it prior to doing it in high school. So like, it was fun.
It's really good.
Not quite the same level though as Lord of the Flies, building your own island. A little different.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
What other books have you narrated for, and where could we find you again in the future?
You can find me on socials at Khaya Fraites on TikTok and Instagram, or at KhayaFraites.com to check out all the stuff I'm working on. I recently got to narrate. I've been doing a lot of vampires recently.
Love a vampire.
Yeah, I got to do narration for this book, Where Shadows Meet, from Macmillan by Patrice Caldwell. And then I'm also currently narrating the Scarlet Eternal series. The first book is called The Royal Street Witch. And that one's about witches and vampires set in New Orleans by Jenna Walker. So yeah, you can find me on all the things, on all the social media platforms.
Love it.
Very
Thanks.
fun.
You can find me on Instagram, Gabriel_M_Michael, Michal. Are you familiar with the Shatter Me series?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. So I'm narrating in Watch Me. As the male MC in that book. Yeah, it's an incredible book. I've been just some really sexy, sensual MCs lately. Have been really good. Pestilence of the Four Horsemen series by Laura Thorlassa. That is going to Graphic Audio has picked that up. And I play Pestilence, so I am the MMC. This is like my reveal for everyone. And I know some people had seen some promo of it from Graphic Audio, and they were just like wondering who was in it. And my best friend Jessica Threet is in the lead position, and so I'm super excited. She's the one who auditioned me in Khaya. She's the one who hired me all those years ago. So now that they're narrating alongside each other, really excited.
That's awesome.
That's so fun.
Love that. Cool. Well, and friends, do not forget Onyx Storm Part 1. The graphic audio comes out May 7th, so you guys can hear Gabriel and Kya nonstop at one speed, the right speed it should be. Yeah, guys, thanks so much for being on our show.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yes.